Welcome to the Joe Dickey Electric Scoreboard here. Great night of football. We've had some blowouts, had some games that went right down to the wire, but we're going to head right over to our Canfield crew, Richie and Gary Niddle. And Billy Mack and I both thought this was going to be a pretty good game. I didn't know that Canfield was just going to maul them 41-10. Would you guys see that just maybe surprised you from Canfield, or maybe you expected from Canfield?
Yeah, well, I mean, the biggest thing is Canfield just absolutely dominated time of possession. I mean, they ran the Fitch defense out there on the field for 7-8 minutes of drive. And, therefore, defensively, Fitch just kind of got worn down throughout the ball game. And Austintown Fitch did a great job in the first quarter of getting on the field and getting off quickly. But then Canfield just in that second half controlled time of possession. They converted on third down, and that was the key for the Cardinals all night long. 3rd down and 3, 3rd down and 4. Canfield was able to find a way to get the ball past the first down marker. And in the end, that was the ball game because the Cardinals were able to get the ball in the end zone, and they were able to convert on 3rd down. And, they wore out the Austintown defense.
Did Fitch kind of play like a team that was maybe a little tight? Because I think they needed this game more than Canfield.
I disagree there. I just think Canfield came out to dominate. I mean, the game started rough for the Falcons. And they come out and they fumble on their first possession. Canfield takes over, goes right in and scores. I mean, Canfield didn't punt tonight. We said in the first half that, Fitch much bigger up front. And I talked to Coach Pav yesterday for a half an hour about how big they are. And, they're going to be physical and this and that. And I'll tell you what, Canfield answered the bell. From start to finish, they dominated. I mean, and it was the whole team. We talked about Mike Crawford, some of the runs that he ran tonight. He ran possessed. Brock Lowry was Brock Lowry, and they limited them. We just talked to Coach Ignazio. They had 7. Fitch had 7 first downs the whole game, and 2 of them. One came on, the touchdown run that you got the big busted play, and one other drive. I mean, it was complete domination. I did not see that tonight. I was shocked.
Yeah, well, the other thing I noticed, Canfield hit the big plays when they needed them. Like anytime Fitch was maybe like, okay, we got a shot, all of a sudden Canfield just crushed them with those big plays.
And that's what sets up. We talked about, the run sets that up. The play action, the fact that you've got the flea flicker, and they're wide open, running down the seams, running down on the outside. And I'll tell you what, Coach Pav called the game of his life tonight. Everything he called will look gold. Outside of the one Brock Lowry interception that it just came out of his hand wrong. He was on point. Brock Lowry, if you could see the whole game tonight, he made some throws that you could see why he's a D1 quarterback. I mean, he was phenomenal.
Hey, Coach, did I see a reverse flea flicker?
Yeah.
Double reverse.
Double reverse. And a flea flicker later on in the game. A drop. I mean, like I said, Coach Pav, you think of him as, he wants those 4-yard carries, which he did in the fourth quarter. That's what they did. They just ran the clock out, and they were defeated. Now, I will say in the third and fourth quarter, Fitch was defeated. Their hands were on their hips. You can see it. The last drive that Canfield went on, we sat up there and said that they don't want to be here at this point. I mean, it was a mauling. I mean,
well, and that's a big win for Canfield from a computer point standpoint.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that's
their
absolutely
region
huge.
is ridiculous.
Yeah.
They needed it.
I mean, you look ahead. I mean, Hubbard's a team that's undefeated. They're going to be ahead of Canfield still. We look at the top of the leaderboards with Chardon, Kenston. You got Streetsboro, Aurora. All these teams, Dover, are undefeated. I mean, this is such a tough region. Every game matters. And to beat a Division II school, you definitely need those points to stay in the top 8. I mean, that's just a huge victory for the Cardinals to be able to stay top 10, because if they lose that game, they're probably, right on the brink of 10-11.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, not only that, I'll give you some news. Dover beat Strongsville tonight, 14-13.
Doesn't shock me.
Yeah, but that's a big win for them. You just beat the D1 school, so you look at that. But you guys had a great game. You had a great call. We were trying to get there as much as we could, but it was fantastic. And I'll tell you what, when you said Mike Pavlansky dialed it up right tonight, he may want to duplicate that again, because that was fantastic. Defense, offense, special teams, everything clicked for the Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean, that's not typically his play style calling. I mean, He's usually more conservative, pounding on the ground 4 or 5 yards. Let's convert on 3rd and short, and let's move the sticks, and let's just ram it down their throat. But tonight, he pulled a couple rabbits out of the hat, 2 flea flickers. I have never seen that from Coach Pavlansky in one single game. So it was fun to watch. I mean, we had a blast calling the game. A lot of action, just a fun game to call. And, like Coach Niddle mentioned earlier, we did not see this coming. I mean, I don't think anybody would have imagined this game would have ended 41-10 at the end of the 4th quarter.
Yeah. And, the one last thing to hit on, and this is saying a lot from Coach Pavlansky. I talked to him yesterday on the side, and he doesn't say this, but he said, we haven't had a quarterback like Brock Lowry in all my years here. And the weapons that we have, we've never had those weapons. And you put those two together, and the fact that they can run the football, they are a scary team moving forward. I mean, they really are. Yeah, I know they've slid under the radar, but they're not under that radar anymore. And you miss Coach Pav. I mean, you want to see how excited he was. Richie and I went in the locker room afterwards, and he's dancing with the team. And I'll tell you what, they there was some billboard material. We talked to some of the coaches afterward in the Vindicator and all these media outlets that we played a big boy team last week, and they took that as an insult. And I'll tell you what, they took it out on Fitch tonight.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, thanks, guys. We appreciate it. We'll let you go, and looking forward to some more great games out of you guys this year.
All right, thanks,
Enjoy the
guys.
rest of your night.
So there you have it. What a game.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
We got some let me turn my mic up real quick.
Okay.
We got some other people coming in. Jamie and Romo from Harvard. So here they come.
Hey.
What's up, boys?
I don't know why the camera's on me solely, but the Eagles, how's it going? Big win tonight, 49-7. TC Caffey, 294 yards on the ground through 7 weeks. Now at 1,813 yards, I believe. So next week's senior night, he could eclipse 2,000 yards and potentially his last home game of his career.
Wow. Unbelievable. I mean, he only played a half tonight.
Correct. Only played the first half.
Just typical night at the office.
Yeah.
I got it all done.
Coach,
2
I'm gonna
quarters.
sit
That's all
back.
I needed. I think another thing.
He did have a 92-yard touchdown run. His last touchdown run was 92 yards, and that's what – or I take that back. Second to last touchdown run was 92 yards, and that's what really skyrocketed the total.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, typical night at the office for him. But the other thing you want to mention tonight, Coach Brian Hoffman, this is career win 121, which ties him with Jeff Bayak in the all-time wins list.
Correct. I mean, next week, playing Girard at home. I mean, the last couple of years, there's been a little bit of a rivalry between the two schools. A lot of the kids know each other through social media and whatnot. So next week, I'm sure it's going to be a great atmosphere, packed house, like I said, senior night. And honestly, there's not too many better local teams that you could possibly become the all-time leader in wins at your school for. So, I mean, big matchup next week. We're very excited for it.
Every time I see the Howland, I just see TC just has one of those days where he's breaking tackles. He's almost untouched at times too. I mean, watching him tonight, just kind of in my mind, he's the best back in the area, and obviously the statistics show it. And I've been down Hubbard for a long time. I think I have to stop because TC Caffey is the real deal, and you guys put on a great show as always. So congratulations on the dub too.
Thanks, Mac. And it's kind of natural to doubt Hubbard, especially when you get into the bigger games, just because the old adage, all they do is run the ball, run the ball. Why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? You hear it year in, year out from the fans, from really anybody around. But this team, they're so good. They're so tight-knit. I honestly don't think I've been around a team that has worked harder than these guys. They've put in the time in the offseason. They've hit the weight room extremely hard. And TC, he's a grown man. He's an absolute grown man amongst boys. He looked great here tonight. He's looked great all season. You can't tackle him one-on-one. That's the biggest thing, is you have to get hats to the football. The first guy never brings him down.
And also, I forgot to add to that, he's now at 27 total touchdowns through 7 games. So, I mean,
Holy.
there's 3 more regular season games, and then however far we make it in the playoffs, I mean, he could possibly get to 40 touchdowns in a single season.
It's incredible. And I know they got a couple weeks ahead of them, but there's no way coach is going to let them look ahead to week 10 with what's laying in front of them, is he?
No, I mean, Coach Hoff, he's focused week by week. You know, he really doesn't let cameraman, we're just dropping him off right now, but he doesn't let, you know, kind of get ahead of yourself a little bit. He said, got to go week by week. Girard, it's a huge week for us because, like Romo said, it's a rivalry game. It's one that you want every season. And then the week after, you have Niles, who Coach Hoffman so far is 14-0 in his career against. You know there's no chance in heck that he's going to look past Niles to South Range when he's got a perfect record against Niles going on.
Fair point.
Yeah, absolutely fair point. But I think the big thing is, you know, and he's going to downplay it. Next week he can take over the all-time wins past Jeff. He doesn't care about that. He simply is focused on this season. Get as many computer points as you can because that is one tough region they're playing in.
Yeah, and that Canfield win was huge tonight. We were talking about it. I mean, we'll see how it shapes up. They might quite possibly hop us in the region. I mean, they're going to get a whole bunch of points from that Fitch victory. We only beat a Division 5 school tonight, so I guess Division they're 5?
No, they're 4. Lakeview's 4.
We still beat a school a division lower, so I don't know. We'll see come tomorrow when all the region points are kind of finalized there. But yeah, this region is very tough. I mean, you have the defending state champ in there, so should be a fun next couple of weeks, possibly next couple of months.
But you know, the one thing I want to add real quick, we were listening to my man Richie while we were backstage. We're hearing him name all these tough teams like Chardon, Aurora, Kenston. Where was Hubbard at in the list? No love for the Valley team for our buddies? It's cool, Richie. We got beef now. Don't worry about it. But we're coming for you, Juliana.
All right. So we got a over-the-top ladder match here coming. We'll have a wrestling match between these guys. You can take them. They were all bundled up like it was winter outside, too.
I had to take off my hoodie as soon as we got to Lakeview. I was like, man, it's getting hot in here.
The adrenaline was pumping up in the box.
Wow.
You guys got it. Great call tonight. We enjoyed coming in as much as we could during the first half. We didn't see too much of the second half because the game was pretty much decided. Thanks, guys. We always appreciate listening to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate it, guys. Have a good one.
Good call,
right,
boys.
There you have it. 2 good calls to start it, and Richie started a war.
Yeah.
Don't disrespect Hubbard as it comes out.
So we'll run down the scores here real quick. I know DJ is going to be calling in soon, but tell you what, he had probably one of the games of the night. We'll start Canfield a winner, 41-10 over Fitch. Harding beats Boardman 21-10. West Branch over Carrollton 43-12, so they're still perfect on the season. One of the games of the night, Liberty fights back, scores late, beats Champion 27-24. East Palestine falls to United 47-12. In that game, Cole Constantine kicked a 42-yard field goal. East Liverpool falls to Edison 34-24. Garrettsville Garfield still rolling along as they pound Camel 56-6. Beaver Local, a winner over Harrison Central 48-14. Hubbard 49-7 over Lakeview. Crestview falls to LeBray 34-13. Latonia beaten by Southern Local 49-14. Brookfield a winner over Newton Falls, which sets up their big game with LeBray next week 40-7. And Poland doubles up Girard 42-21. Pie Valley beats Wyndham 36-28. Salem 35, Marlington 17. South Range, they shut out Niles 41-0. Struthers 56-27 over Jefferson. Akron St. V's beats Ursuline 49-14. Sorry, Billy Mack. Bourne JFK beats Fruitstown 48-7. Springfield with the shutout over Waterloo 51-0. Wellsville beats Lisbon 28-21. And Lowville loses a heartbreaker. Score late to get within 1, go for 2. They don't get it. Western Reserve gets the win 28-27. Cheney loses a tough one to Painesville Harvey 16-14. Matthews over Fairport Harbor, 36-0. Career win 299 for Coach Bill Bourne. And Louisville falling to Green 29-24. Some Western PA scores. Wilmington in a tight one over Sharpsville, 28-27. Greenville beats Mercer 28-7. Kennedy Catholic down 15-0 at the half, comes back to beat Lakeview 18-15. It's the program's first win since 2012. Now, they didn't have football for a while during that span, but that's a long time they've waited for victories. Mohawk over Riverside 37-0. Shenango wins tonight 26-6. Grove City over Sharon 32-13, and Slippery Rock beats Conneaut 49-14. So there's all your scores here on the Dickey Scoreboard. And is that the El Presidente joining us?
Yeah, what's up, Prez?
It is. Getting everything lined up.
Hi, guys.
You absolutely had the game of the night up there between Windham and Pie Valley.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was my first time seeing Windham. My first time seeing Pie Valley. It was different than what I'm accustomed to. I'll be honest with you, when I'm watching South Range and some of these different teams, it's a different brand of football, guys. It's 4 yards in a cloud of dust. It's playing in the old backyard. The Pie Valley team struck me as very similar to Garfield, where you never knew where the ball was going. So that must just be the brand of football out here. It was exciting, and obviously at the end of the game, like, we weren't anticipating any passes, and all of a sudden the kid chucks a 45, 50-yard pass downfield, and game over. 11 seconds to go. But the storyline in this one, guys, was injuries. I mean, Chase I was taken out in an ambulance. He's one of a lower body injury, or something like a hip, something like that. So thoughts and prayers with that young man tonight. It's actually a coach's son, one of the coach's sons that's on the team. And they had suffered a loss of a running back tonight who couldn't finish the game. So it's when you have, 20 guys maybe tops on that team, and you lose 2, 3, 4 of them, and you got 16 guys left standing at the end of the game. A battle of attrition in week 7, guys, is not where you want to be. But Wyndham's still 4-2, an exciting team to watch. But I'll have my eye on them moving forward, because they're almost in the same spot as Palestine. When you have 16 guys, it's
absolutely. I think the thing we noticed, DJ, was the size of the linemen. Both teams had big guys on that interior.
Yeah, Wyndham had big guys, but Pie Matootin guys looked like they were professional wrestlers. I'm not gonna lie to you. There was a moment that I thought Jake the Snake Roberts was gonna pop out, and Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant. Like, the one kid could have been Andre the Giant. I'm not counting it out. We've never seen them in the same room. So, they were big, but we talked about it during the broadcast. The timing, the technique that Wyndham did throughout the game kept them in the game. Their offensive line, defensive line did a great job. I was really impressed by the running backs. Mickey Jones is a name you're going to hear more and more on YSN. James Hood, and their quarterback's damn good too.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was one of them games, like, we're watching, and all of a sudden we're like, hey, we got to get to this game. We've got to get to this game again. We've got to get back there. And it was one of those games that was just fun to watch it break down to the end. And like you said, I was not expecting them to chuck it 50 yards. I thought they were both playing for overtime at that point.
We did too. They were just literally like rocking the baby to sleep. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, because I'm going to let you in on a little secret. We were on top of a roof, which it sounds crazy, but it was actually beautiful. Really, really beautiful to do this game from where we were. It was the best spot in the entire place. So it was really cool. I'm gonna pull off the side here because I gotta pay a toll to get back to HQ. But it's one of those things where I was really excited to see it. It was getting really cold. We didn't really want to go for, with all due respect, we didn't really want overtime because all our stuff was starting to get wet from the dew and things of that nature. So, what a game, though. Those kids played their asses off. They left their hearts out on the field, but you could see the devastation, which is football, right? It's 11 seconds left on the clock, and the Bombers are walking off the field, and you felt for them. You felt for them because in that last 8 minutes of the game, they lost one of their best friends, a kid that touches the ball a lot, one of their best players, another player, and then you get that punch in the mouth with 11 seconds to go with basically a walk-off touchdown. It's tough, man. It's tough. We're getting to the best part, I think, of football in high school, which is games that matter, and every snap matters. And I was lucky enough and fortunate enough to have Chris with me, and we got a taste of that tonight.
I know Jake I real well. My mother graduated with him at Wyndham, and my heart goes out to him because he's a great guy, great coach, and his family is really awesome too. So my heart goes out to him. Hopefully he gets better fast because he's absolutely a good player.
Yeah.
It's a bad situation, Billy, and we said it during the broadcast. That last 8 minutes probably felt like an eternity to him, because as a dad, as a father, your son's behind you, loaded into an ambulance, and you're trying to finish a game and be a leader. But at the same time, that's your son, that's your kid. Right. And, I respect him so much for finishing, that game. And, I can't wait to talk to him and do a coach's corner and just, pick his brain, because that's just another great leader in our area that, doesn't get the recognition he deserves. And obviously he's a great person and a great family, but he's got great talented kids, and he's a talented coach as well. So I'm excited to see what happens. And again, our thoughts and prayers and best wishes are with his son Chase tonight.
Absolutely. Thanks, buddy. We're going to let you go pay your toll so you can get home.
I'll see you in a minute. Save some dip for me, all right?
Maybe. Jeff said it's really bad. Good. He already loaded it up in his car. He's gone. But that was a great game. Can't beat it. Absolutely fantastic. So
we got Paul Munson wants to talk about some South Range Raiders.
All right. We'll bring on Mr. Munson.
Hey, Paulie.
Gentlemen, how are we?
We're good. How are you?
You forgot
doing good.
Phone sideways, but
turn your phone sideways, man.
There you go.
There, is that better? There we go.
Yeah, boy, Paulie.
Yep. You got back to the Munson house very fast tonight.
That running clock in the second half went pretty quick. I've been home actually for about a half hour, so it's pretty nice. The Raiders went out to Bo Ryan Stadium and they got some revenge for the last time they lost an NE8 game, which was at Niles in overtime on a missed extra point. So they went out there and they took care of business tonight. It was a balanced attack from start to finish. Billy Skirpak went 8 for 10 with 166 yards and 3 touchdowns. Dominguez, 14 carries for 106 yards and a touchdown. Receiving was Shane Lindstrom. He was 3 for 78 with 2 touchdowns. The one highlight for Niles, they've got an awesome running back. He's only a sophomore, Gardner, and he ran for 84 yards, and he was a tough kid. And, Randy Dominguez was my color guy tonight. And we talked about it. You're looking at Niles, Girard, Struthers, and Jefferson. These are all 4 schools that have really young rosters. Not a lot of seniors on their team. The seniors that are there are maybe some interior linemen. But your quarterbacks, your running backs are some young kids there. And they're going to make some noise in the next year or two in the league, because you're looking at, South Range and Poland and Hubbard all have some senior-laden skill players on their teams. And those guys are going to be gone here soon. And, those teams, they're going to reload, of course. But, you're looking at South Range right now. Their 3 running backs are all seniors. So kids that are needing to get those runs, they're not getting them until like late in the game or even in like their scout team stuff. So like a lot of those teams are going to struggle a little bit. But both these teams in Hubbard and in South Range, they're on a collision course for Week 10. South Range gets Jefferson next week at home. Then they're going to travel to Lakeview, and Hubbard's going to they got Niles yet, and they get Girard. And then they're going to meet week 10, and that's going to just be a battle. I mean, I was watching with Jamie and them talking, and, listen, TC Caffey, he's one hell of a kid, and that's going to be a must-see game come week 10. And South Range right now is just still rolling, scoring 41 points tonight. It was a botched snap because it was right after Lindstrom had scored his touchdown. So he was getting a breather. They had a different kid in there as a holder. Little botched snap on the extra point. Kid gets tackled and they didn't get to kick it. But, I mean, they're scoring 6 touchdowns a game right now. And to shut out Niles, the JV team came in there and they got all the way down to the 4. Niles did. And Niles was trying to score. You could tell. They had some pride there. They were not going to get shut out. And credit to the young kids on that secondary defense for South Range. They stepped up and they bowed up and stopped them. And so it was good to see that, those kids can step up when they need to, when they get an opportunity. But it was just another even keel game for South Range that they spread it around, whether it was the run, the pass. Their defense did what they needed to do to stop. I mean, he's going to be good. Gardner's going to be a kid we're going to be talking about for a couple of years here because he's only a sophomore, and he's going to be a good kid to see. So,
well, I think the big thing is you got South Range Hubbard. We know that collision course is coming, but then over the next 2 weeks, you want to stay healthy because you want both of them to come there with their A game week 10.
Absolutely. You don't want to see, a Caffey get hurt or a Dominguez or a Skirpak. You want both these teams to be at their top notch when they see each other, and the thing for South Range is they're going to get Lakeview week 9 right before they see that. And nothing against Lakeview, but Lakeview right now, they're struggling. I mean, they're 0-7 and they're, they could be 0-9 or 0-8 when they come into that game. And so, South Range, they can't overlook them by any means, but they could take care of business and really probably rest a lot of their starters come that second half and just get ready for week 10. And Hubbard's the same. They're going to get Girard next, and then they face Niles. And Niles isn't going to be a pushover, but I think if Hubbard does what they need to do, they should probably win that game as well and get into it. So, listen, it's going to be exciting. I mean, these next couple weeks, we've got some just slobber knocker games that are on the docket that are going to be awesome to watch. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see a lot of these games and, see what happens.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Paul. Appreciate it.
Gentlemen,
we'll let you go enjoy. I'm sure Mrs. Munson's making you some sort of snack.
No, they're all in bed. I got to go move kids to go to sleep here. So I'm just going to wait and watch the rest of the show with you guys.
Sleep on the couch. It's more peaceful.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Paul.
All right, fellas.
See you, buddy. All right. So, Billy Mack, what's your game of the night?
Liberty and Champion. That's to me, that's the game of the night. I take it back.
No, you can't. You can't take it back.
I just did. I just took it back. Lowville and Western Reserve. I think there's go for 2 at home.
You said they had a kicker, right?
Yeah, go kick they kicked the extra point. The kicker was 2 for 2 up to that point. So I think you kick the field goal there, the extra point. And I think you play for overtime, and you see what happens. You're the home team. Yeah. It's your stadium.
I think I went Balone passing, and honestly, I don't think
at least get them on the edge.
I don't think they called a bad play on the 2-point conversion, but I don't think that they were expecting Western Reserve to just stuff that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree.
That Western Reserve team is finding their own. Coming into their own right now is they're scary.
Well, they're gritty.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good word for them. They are gritty because they don't quit.
Mm-hmm.
They battle all 4 quarters, win or lose.
Right.
And every play, they're going to smack you in the mouth.
Every play.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario is, when you get done playing a Western Reserve team, you're going to feel punishment tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So on Saturday morning, when you get up and you start watching film, you got punched in the mouth, a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's the game that I anticipated being close. I thought Western Reserve would win that game. I didn't know it was going to come down to the last play of the game, but yeah. So to me, that was my play of the game or game of the week.
What was yours?
I'm going to go with Canfield, Austintown, Fitch. I really felt like this Canfield team, when they played Dover week 2, they were just too young up front, and they were going to figure it out. And I told Coach Niddle that when we were leaving the game that night, I was like, they just need to figure it out. They need to get, more reps and more experience. And I just think this Canfield team did really. I saw it coming. I saw them. They're going to dominate Austintown, and that's the game of the night for me. Is that team Canfield is just that much better than everybody else right now.
Mine was the Wyndham Pie Valley game because none of us really knew what each team had.
Right.
And as we watched that game unfold, as DJ said, it's a different atmosphere. It's old school. It's grass. It's 2 country schools, and that's no disrespect to either one of them. They came hard-nosed football, lunch pails included. Didn't really see a lot of passing, and then all of a sudden at the end of the game, Pie Valley says, let's win it. Gutsy call, and it worked.
That's a game where you put your chin strap on and you just a little bit tighter.
Well, you like it.
Yeah.
You love those type of games.
It shows you if your team's physical or not. Like if you're not physical in that game, you get blown out, and it's looking up at the stars all night as a defensive lineman.
Well, and the tough thing from that, guys, you look at that smaller roster. So you have 2 key players go down. Well, actually, that's probably 4 positions you got to fill.
Right.
Yeah.
It's 2 on offense, 2 on defense, and it might even be 2 on special teams.
Right. More
So,
than likely, yes.
and all of a sudden you got maybe a younger kid, a freshman. He's maybe seen 15, 20 snaps all year, and all of a sudden, hey, buddy.
Probably in general,
Yeah.
15 or 20 snaps, period.
Yeah.
Even if it's a sophomore or junior, you're probably not playing that position.
Right.
Yeah, you're putting kids in that are just not
because
ready to start at that point.
When you're at a school that small and you lose a player, all of a sudden, well, you're my fullback, but now you're my guard.
Right.
Like you got to make some maneuvering just to make it work. And for that, I give Wyndham credit because they never quit in that game. And,
and that's Wyndham style.
Yeah.
I've been around that area for a long, long time. And, what's great, I always say about Wyndham, no matter what, their community comes out and support them. And we talked about Jake I. Jake I does so many different things there for just the city of Wyndham and the school district of Wyndham and so many different things he does. He's basically built a football field. He basically built the baseball and softball field for Wyndham. So he does so many things, which is why it's heartbreaking to hear some bad news, and hopefully he turns it around.
Yeah.
Chase pretty well, pretty fast.
And then, the other thing you look at tonight, you have teams that are in the playoff hunt that are looking now to secure home games that took care of business. Springfield took care of business. Canfield, West Branch, they all took care of business, as did Hubbard. LeBray didn't look ahead past Crestview. That's a tough loss for Crestview because that could be the difference from making it or not making it to the postseason.
That would have put him back in the conversation, really into that maybe 12th seed, and you think LeBray would have fell down there in the same district. So would have been in that bunch there. So.
Yeah. And then, it sets up the big battle next week, LeBray and Brookfield. We know what that playoff game was like. We also know what that regular season game was like last year.
Right.
That's going to be a dynamite game, but that's also playoff positioning now. Both teams are looking to position themselves, and that's where they're sitting. South Range took care of business. Struthers took care of business. Tough loss for Ursuline, but they're still – it's a different world when they get to the playoffs.
This is why Ursuline schedules the way they do. Not too many teams. I think Canfield this year has a great schedule, but not too many schools outside of maybe Canfield, maybe Boardman, maybe Fitch have a schedule like Ursuline, and it's all about preparing yourself for the postseason, and that's the Ursuline way. So
it's like it's different speed, and when you get into the postseason in D4 like Ursuline is, you already know if you went into a team that's a little bit faster than you have to rely on your technique a little bit more. And I know they suffered a tough loss, but that Akron St. Mary's team is good. It's a very good football team every year.
Yeah. Oh,
absolutely. And they're big. They were just big.
I think they were 7th in Division 2.
Yeah.
So going into tonight's game,
they're playing up 2 upper divisions against it. You still got to look positive if you're an Ursuline fan.
Nah, I still think there's a lot of bright things in Ursuline's future this year and definitely next year.
Right.
You can see it coming, and it's the Dan Reardon way. It's just the way he's building it. But I was really impressed with JFK. I thought
Yeah.
that was going to be a tougher game against Rootstown.
So did I.
And boy, a loss to Mogador, poor Rootstown suffered the wrath.
People just forgot who the JFK was because, this is a team that was in a state championship game last year. And, DJs has not come off the wagon yet with JFK, and he's never going to. But they came out tonight and showed, hey, we're there.
Isn't it weird? Like a team goes to the state championship and kind of flies underneath the radar the very next year, and not a lot of people are talking about them. They lose to a really good Mogador team last week, not last year, but last week, and then come out this week and just fired up and ready to play a road game that you have to travel a little bit.
But
Sounds like good.
You're almost talking almost like an Urson. Like Kennedy, they got to go out and test themselves.
Yeah.
Their schedule has been challenging.
That's the thing. Like I like to see that if you're like an independent school like JFK is, like you bigger schools, you just prepping, like you said, you're prepping yourself for a long postseason run at that point because you're just playing bigger and better schools.
Absolutely. And, it was a good game. Lowville, that's a tough loss, but boy, that helped Western Reserve.
Yeah, that's a big win for Western Reserve. A couple in a row for Western Reserve now as they're looking back into the playoff hunt, and we all thought Lowville was going to have that, coming off, what was it, 3-0, and then the tough loss to Springfield. Now the tides have changed there in the MVAC as it looks like maybe Western Reserve is that number 2 team behind Springfield. So,
all right, well, we're going to run down the scores one more time. We'll call it an evening for you, and we might be done. You might have to do the scores here. We might be done, but we're not done. Our partner, WFMJ, the overtime report coming up at 11:10. So you're going to want to tune in there. Watch Dana Ballish and company, Josh Fitch and Corey McRae. They'll have all the highlights and scores for you too. But we'll run down our scores one more time. Canfield, impressive win, 41-10 over Fitch. Harding beats Boardman 21-10. West Branch, they're still perfect, 43-12 over Carrollton. Liberty beats Champion 27-24. United over East Palestine 47-12. East Liverpool falls to Edison 34-24. Garrettsville Garfield over Camel 56-6. Beaver Local continues to roll along 48-14 over Harrison Central. Hubbard all over Lakeview 49-7. LeBray, impressive win at Crestview tonight 34-13. Southern Local all over Latonia 49-14. Brookfield beating Newton Falls 40-7. Girard falling to Pullen 42-21. Pie Valley over Wyndham 36-28. Salem beat Marlington 35-17. South Range shuts out Niles 41-0. Struthers 56-27 over Jefferson. Ursuline falling to Akron St. Vincent St. Mary's 49-14. Warren JFK 48-7 over Rootstown. Springfield shuts out Waterloo 51-0. That's another team flying under the radar.
Right.
I mean, they haven't lost since week 1. So, and everybody was jumping off that ship week 1, and I'm like thinking, that South Range team's pretty good.
Yeah.
Here's an brand new offensive line, and boy, by week 7, they look well oiled.
I just hope we have a playoff where I get to cover a Springfield versus LeBray.
Oh, that would be so fun.
That's something that may happen, may not happen. Never know. But that's maybe a wish list thing.
Yeah, it could be a big game. Yeah. Wellsville beat Lisbon 28-21. Western Reserve over Lowville 28-27. Cheney lost to Painesville Harvey 16-14. Matthews over Fairport Harbor 36-0. And Louisville losing to Green 29-24. We're not done yet tomorrow. Got a couple games here on YSN.
Yep.
Cardinal Mooney and Howland. Both games are, and all of a sudden, hey, let's just go play football.
Picked up today at 3:15 in the afternoon.
That's wild.
So that works out. And the other game is Columbiana and Valley Christian.
Yep.
So
another big one.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big one. So all in all, week 7, impressive wins, some tough losses for teams, but it's just setting up week 8 as the playoff push continues.
Well, hey, Mike, I had a great time tonight. And
Love having you here.
We miss Steve Leslie as always. It took 2 of us to cover for Steve.
Yeah, Steve's the man.
Yeah.
Shout out Steve.
I've never seen a guest host, though, drink a 6-pack of Pepsi during one show. So
you're welcome.
It was cool, man. It was cool, Jeff.
Appreciate it.
I love it, man. Hey, thanks for joining us, and we will see you back here next week at 6:55 for the audible call on YSN.